Welcome back. Now the next menu over is going to be the Insert menu. You have the Pages tab, Tables tab, Illustrations tab, Add-ins, Media, Links, Comments, Header and Footer, the Text tab, Symbols tab, and then any additional tabs for your add-ins. Now in terms of the Pages tab, it gives you an interesting set of options that you can add to your document. One handy tool is that you can add in a cover page. And by clicking this link, you're going to notice that Word will give you some options to add in a cover page. And if you don't like the pre-designed covers, what you can do is you can then choose one from the Office.com database. And you'll see some here. And all you'll need to do is to just click on the one that you want. And then you can make your changes inside of the document. And you'll see that here. It will then be at the beginning of your document. You can also then insert a blank page. This will give you the ability to place in any copyright information if you're creating a manuscript, or even to insert your table of contents. You can also insert graphical objects, including pictures, shapes, smart arts, and charts. You can also add in any online media into the document. For example, we can then search a YouTube video, decide on our choice, and then we can click in the actual choice. And of course, we can size down the thumbnail, and we can arrange it in the way that we want. Now this will be a clickable link to the actual document. It will not be the entire video inside of your document. Of course, you can also insert a hyperlink. For example, if you want to hyperlink a particular part of your document, you can go to this link. You can then insert the link, and then you can place the URL in the place that you want the link to go. And of course, you can add in a header and footer into your document. Of course, you can use the header and footer inside of your menu, or all you'll need to do is to come to the very top of your Word document, click the very top, and you'll see that your header will be available to you. Your footer will be available also. What's going to happen when you open this header, you're going to get a separate menu for header and footer tools. Now these tools are going to be specific to your working with the header and footer. When you've completed your work with the header and footer, all you'll need to do is to close this menu. You'll then be sent back to your regular document and come back to the Insert command. What we're going to do here is stop the video, and we're going to take a look at a few more features inside of the Insert command that will be particularly helpful to you when you're creating your documents. Now there are 3 additional features in the Insert menu that you'll want to take note of. The first is going to be your ability to take a screenshot and add it to your document. So for example, if we know where we want to add the screenshot, and then we were to go to this menu, and then we were to click this link, we would then be given the available windows that we can take a screenshot of. We'll click the window that we want to add, and then we'll add in the screenshot in this area. And of course, to remove it or to retrace our steps, we can then click Undo. We can also cross-reference other places in the document. So for example, if we were to click this button, we can choose the kind of reference that we want to create inside of the document. So if we want to reference a particular heading, we can do that. And we can click this link. We can choose the heading that we want to cross-reference. We'll then select the reference. We can decide on how we want the reference to appear. So for example, we can have the clickable reference to the heading text, and we can then insert this as a hyperlink. Once we've completed this, we can then click Close. And what the individual will do when they click the link, they're then taken to the area of the text where we designate. We can also insert symbols when we need to. What we'll need to do is to go to this menu. We'll then choose the symbols that we want to insert. We can then click on the link, then click Insert. What we can also do inside of Microsoft Word is to insert the Alt symbols. So for example, if we were to select the Alt key, and then we were to write in a number, if we know the Alt code, we can then have our symbol inside of our area. For example, if we know our code, all we'll need to do is to click the Alt tab. We'll then write in our code, and then our symbol will be there. Now, before this video closes, it's important to note that we can also create references by link using just the link command. So for example, if we wanted to highlight this area of the text and we wanted to make it clickable and we want to create a hyperlink, what we'll do is we'll get this menu. What we're going to do is we're going to click place in this document, and then we're going to find the area where we want the link. Now we can actually use either a heading or a bookmark that we set with this key. Now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to click this button, and we're then going to click OK. That means then that this heading or this text will then be clickable to the area of our document that we have specified. And we can do that by just hitting Control click. It will take us to our other area that we highlighted. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next menu over is going to be the design menu. And design menu is going to be similar to the design menu in both PowerPoint as well as Excel. And what you're going to be able to do is to change the theme which controls the look of your document. So for example, what you'll be able to do is to come to this left-hand corner and you'll be able to change the look of your document based on font and based on color scheme. So once you have a theme that you like, you can click the theme. And once you do that, what you're going to notice is that you have formatting structures that will appear within that theme. So you can change the formatting structure just based on the theme that you have chosen. So for example, we can choose a different kind of theme, and then our titles will be different, our subtitles will be different, and you'll notice that here in this area. When you're working with a theme, you can change the fonts in that theme. And for the most part, you won't be working with colors. However, you can change the color theme. You can change the color scheme inside of your theme. The theme that you're working with, you can change the paragraph spacing. And you can also change the effects. Now, if you want to go back to the original theme, what you can do is you can go to this area and you can reset to the theme from the template. Now, the page background will help you to decide on any branding and watermark you are going to use. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now looking at the Layout tab, which is the next tab to the right. And basically, the Layout tab helps us to control the final appearance of our document before we produce the PDF or before we produce the printout. And we can do that first in the Page Setup area. This is where we can either widen or make the margins more narrow. We can also change the orientation of our page. So for example, if we'd like to use a landscape method, what we can do is click this link, change the orientation to landscape. And of course, we can change it back to the portrait method. We can also choose the total paper size. So by clicking this menu, we can determine different kinds of document shapes that we're going to be using inside of the orientation that we have chosen. And we can change the number of columns that our content appears in when it's going to be appropriate. So for example, what we can do is we can change all of our content to 2 columns. You'll see our column line up in this way, which is more like a newspaper or magazine. And of course, we can change it back to 1 column. Now, when you're working and collaborating with other people on a document, one of the things you can do is you can refer to specific lines in the document. You can do that by displaying the line numbers. And we can use the menu in order to give each line a number that can be referred to. Of course, in order to turn these line numbers off, we can turn them back off. In the paragraph tab, we can control our spacing and our indentation. So for example, if we want to make more space between our lines, we can do that. And we can control the indentation in this area. And you're basically going to use the layout menu when you have completed your content. You have proofread it, you have spell checked it, and you are now ready to lay it out for the final processing or before you get ready to print. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next tab over is going to be the References tab. And if you are writing formally, this is where you are going to insert your citations for references throughout your writing. And in that case, you're likely to either be using either footnotes or endnotes. Now, if you are writing for academic purposes, you can use the style guide. And Microsoft Word has a style guide within it for APA, the Chicago, and other academic references. Microsoft Word actually gives you the opportunity to do a lookup of specific words inside of your document. So for example, if you highlight a certain term and you click the Smart Lookup, what will happen on your right side panel is you'll get articles that you can view on your chosen text. What you can also do is use the Researcher tab. Now the Researcher tab will pull open a sidebar. You can write in the term that you'd like to research. You'll then hit Enter. And what the Researcher tab does is it gives you citable sources as well as images that you can place inside of your document with the proper references. Now, if we have been consistent in applying our styles, we can use those styles to insert a table of contents into our document. So for example, one of the things we want to do is we want to go back to the Home menu, and we want to make sure that our styles are going to be consistent. So we want to make sure that all of the paragraph text is going to be in the normal category. We want to make sure that our subheadings are going to be heading 1. And so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to make this subtitle, we're going to make it into heading 1. And we're going to do that by going to heading 1. We're going to update the heading to match the selection. And it is now heading 1. We're now going to change this subheading to heading number 1. We're now going to do the same thing for any other subheadings, which there are no longer. We're going to give our document a title. We're first going to highlight this text. We're going to change the case in the text. We're going to make this so that we capitalize each word. We're then going to take out the period. We're then going to center this title. And we're now going to change this to the title. We're going to do that by clicking this button. And then we're going to center our title. And for good measure, we're going to go back. We're now going to modify this, and we're going to make sure that it is going to be center justified. Now for good measure, we're going to give our first paragraph a subheading. So what we're going to do is we're going to now take a few spaces down, and we're now going to highlight this line and then make this heading 1. What we are now going to do is we're going to insert a page break. So we now have a title page. We're now going to insert a blank page. So now we have our title, we have a blank page, we have our content. The reason we did that is we want to come back to our references section and we want to insert a table of contents. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this drop down arrow. And what we're going to do is we're just going to build an automatic table. And you'll see one at the top. And what you can do is you can click any one of these tables of content that you want to place inside of your document. We're going to click this one. And basically now we have our table of contents according to our subheadings. And so the table of contents will allow us to give our content a definite look. Now, one thing that we can do is we can make sure that our content is going to appear on the pages that we want. and that we want to be able to update our table of content when something changes. And so in that case, let's assume that we go to our first subheading and then we input a page break. Now ordinarily we would not do this, but what we want to do is we want to create one subheading per page. So we're going to insert a page break here. We're going to come down to the next subheading and we're going to insert a page break here. So now what we have are subheadings on each page. But if we go back to our table of contents, it doesn't necessarily reflect now the new reality. So what we need to do now is go back to our references. We need to then click inside and then we need to update our table. And what we're going to do is we're going to update the page numbers only. And now we see that our content is now on pages 3, 4, and 5. And that is how you work with your table of contents in the references menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.